Hey, beautiful ladies. Okay.
Hello.
I hope
Hello.
Mom comes to see us, but we're here. She'll probably be a little bit late. She's probably running from the room, but the doctor is in. So the doctor really isn't in because I'm not a doctor. Mo is, but we're gonna he's here. I play one on TV, right? But it's so great to have you here today, and we have so much to hear your stories, you guys, and I want you to tell everything about your stories. Ari is my child, and I adore her, and I know that any friend of hers is my family. So I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this important topic because some new screening guidelines just came out a couple of weeks ago on the screening thing that doesn't make any sense, and it basically changed the age for screening from age 50 to age 40, which I think was a huge thing for the sort of breast cancer ecosystem. But what they didn't really talk about was it's for average risk, women with average risk of breast cancer. So guess what? Guess who isn't of average risk? Hello, Black women. And so the guidance just excludes Black women, women with a family history, women with dense breasts, and women over 75. So we're out on the dense breast thing and the age thing. So and the family, even the family history thing. So it really doesn't apply to us. And frankly, you guys are so blessed because you're alive and you can talk about this thing. But the data shows that Black women under the age of 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate of white women, twice the rate. That's crazy. And die at 3 times the rate. And so you guys are what's happening in this world today. And the fact that you are survivors and thrivers and even able to talk about this horrible disease for us is such a blessing. And I know we're all blessed to be alive, as survivors, but we need the world to know and recognize that breast cancer is hitting Black women at younger ages. And we need to talk about it and change the screening guidelines. And also, you don't even know if you have dense breasts till you've had a first mammogram. So if you're not 40 and haven't had a mammogram, you don't know if you're dense or dense. You can't tell about breast density by feeling them. You can't. Can you see me feeling my boobs? You can't tell. Sorry, I do that. So you can only do it by a mammogram, by screening. And so you don't even know if you have dense breasts. And most likely you do, because most Black women do. I think the number is like 70 or 80% of women have dense breasts. And guess what? Probably a lot of them are us. But we're so glad you're here. And let's talk about it. So Ari, you start and introduce your friends. Ari's my child and I do whatever she says.
Oh my gosh. I'm the co-boss. Haley is boss number one. I'm co-boss.
Right.
Um,
That's for sure. All the way, girl.
do you want me to just go ahead in my story? You just want to do
Yeah,
small
why don't you
intro
tell your
second?
story? A lot of people know your story, but a lot of people don't. We never know we're going to have new viewers and I think you should tell your story. And I think all of us, our stories evolve over time as we get more comfortable talking about the madness we've been through. And you start to think about, wait, that happened too. Like how did I forget about that? So tell your story and then introduce your beautiful, lovely friends to us and talk about, young and also the work that you're doing. Ari runs our HBCU internship program. So she's our person with our kids, educating them and helping them guide their conversations and their knowledge about breast cancer and when they're in college. So go for it, my lovey.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Ari. I guess I can't say I'm the baby breastie because we're all baby breasties on here today. But so I received my first diagnosis when I was 19 years old. It was about 10 days before my 20th birthday. I was just casually taking a shower. Ironically enough, this could be TMI, but we're here. I was shaving my armpits, and so like where my armpit and my boob meet, like right here, I had felt a really hard mass, and I was a little concerned because no one ever tells you what the lump feels like. They're just like a lump this, lump that, but it really felt like a rock to me. And so immediately after I got out the shower, I was just on the phone in my doctor's office before I got in the shower, so I called them back and I was like, hey, I know I'm coming in for my birth control appointment. Can I get a breast exam done? And so I went in, got my breast exam, and even the nurse practitioner, she thought it was pretty questionable. So she sent in an order for me to go get a biopsy. I got the biopsy. You know, I was not thinking it was nothing. You feel me? Like I was telling my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm getting tested for cancer this week. Like it's kind of sad that I was making these jokes because I just thought it was like literally nothing. Like this can't be me. And so about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from her and she gets on the phone. And mind you, my nurse practitioner, she's like, hey, hi. So when I got on the phone with her, she's like, hey, Ariana. I was like, hi. And she was like, yeah, your results came back from your biopsy. And I was like, okay. And she was like, yeah, it's invasive ductal carcinoma. And I was like, okay, what we gonna do about that? Like, you know, like I don't know what that is. And that's when she was like, oh, that's cancer. And I was like literally, I was making a pizza at the time. I burnt my pizza. I was over here emailing my professor like, "Hey, I can't come to class today. I got found out I had cancer." Like, you know, and it really shook my world just because, you know, this is a piece that I add to my story now. But I had lost my mom about a year and a half or almost 2 years prior to my diagnosis. So I was in school. Um, I had to move in with like my aunt and uncle after all of that catastrophe. But my aunt, she had just got a job promotion. So she had moved out of the state. So my mom was gone, my guardians was gone. My dad lived in New York. Me and my siblings were all spread out because we're in different chapters, you know, of our lives and things like that. So I really was like, dang, like, how am I supposed to get through all of this? Like, I don't even have insurance. Like, so, you know, I went, got my Medicaid, picked out my doctor, and then within a matter of a month, I was already getting my first infusion. So then I went through 4 rounds of the red devil, what the patients like to call it, because Lord, it literally felt like the devil was inside of you. I've
Uh,
never felt no pain the way
it really
that
does.
adriamycin makes you feel. Exactly. And then after I finished those 4 chemos, I did 12 more rounds of the Taxol, and that was a lot more easier. I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels like water compared to the red devil. But yeah, so I went through a total of 16 rounds of chemo. And then I got my double mastectomy, and I had to get the double mastectomy just because I have the BRCA gene mutation. And when I did my genetic testing, I also found another gene mutation called TP53. And so that gene, the TP53 gene, so everyone has TP53 in your body. It's like your cancer fighting cells. So they told me that my body does not do that. So the combination of that mixed with the BRCA gene was probably why I was diagnosed so young. And so I went through my double mastectomy, did my reconstruction, all while staying in school full time.
Getting straight
And
A's,
then
getting A's.
she loves adding that part.
I do.
And then that was in about September when I got my double mastectomy. And the next year in May, I felt another lump. And I just knew instantly when I had felt it again, I was like, oh my God, like, don't tell me that this is another rock. And so once again, I'm trying to be, you know, real positive, like, oh, I'm going in for another biopsy, but I'm gonna be good. Maybe it's scar tissue, woo, woo, woo. And then my results came back again and it was the same thing. So I was really defeated because I was like, man, I was just had like an inch of hair on my head. I was like, my hair is growing back. Like, you know, my life is starting to get normal again. I'm able to come out, not immunocompromised anymore. And then that's when I had to go through 6 more rounds of chemo. But luckily, this second regimen, like, it didn't make my hair fall out. So that made me feel a little bit better about it. You know, I still stayed in school that time too. But what was different during my second journey was I had to get radiation. So I didn't get it the first time because of my other gene mutation. They thought it would cause another cancer. So this time they were like, yeah, you really don't have that option. So I did the 6 rounds of chemo and I was doing the radiation all while being in a radiation therapy program. So my major was all ready to go to school and treat cancer patients. So the fact that I got my diagnosis right before my cancer program. So by the time I was going through my second cancer journey, I had already learned all the information about breast cancer and things like that. So it's interesting to not only study the books, but study my personal experience and then also impacting my patients because I had to go to clinical rotations and my clinic site, ironically enough, was also my doctor's office. So like I would treat all the patients in the day. And then I would either get chemo or radiation, depending on what regimen I was on at that time. So, sometimes I look back and I say, Lord, I don't know how I was doing all of that and studying and things like that. So I got through my other 6 rounds of chemo and my 24 fractions of radiation, and I've been good ever since. And I hit my 2 years this January. So now I'm loving all the advocacy work that I'm doing. So my motto is I treat cancer patients during the week while doing cancer advocacy on the weekends, all while being a cancer survivor herself. And I love all the work that I do with the HBCU students and them spreading the word on their campus because, I went through both of my journeys during my college career at Texas State. And so now I'm going to pass the baton over.
What else are you doing right now? What else are you doing right now?
Oh my gosh. I went back to school as well. So I'm part-time right now and I'm pre-med, and I plan on going to medical school in the next year and a half.
All right. Well, all right. Getting straight
Giving
in.
back to exactly. Securing these 4.0s. Y'all feel me?
Yeah. Doing it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pass
So
the
proud of you.
baton.
So proud of you. So proud of you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Pass
Thank
the
you.
baton.
Do either of y'all care who goes first? Y'all can go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, I'll go first. My name is
Okay.
Imanye Bostic, and I was diagnosed 2019, probably February 2019, about 2 months before my 22nd birthday. It was crazy because I kind of knew, but I was in December. And this may be TMI as well, but in December, but it's real, it's my real story. In December, my boyfriend, who was only my boyfriend for about 2 months, found the lump, and he was just like, there's something odd about one of your breasts. One is bigger than the other. And I was like, oh, that's normal. He's like, no, I think you should go get something checked out. And I'm just like, this dude, like, we were also friends for a very long time. And I'm like what, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling this lump in my breast. And again, I still wasn't too worried at the moment because in high school, I had a small lump in one of my breasts as well, but it eventually went away. It was something that they said, it kind of just went away with the growing process as a teenager. And it was very small. So I was thinking, this may be that. Let me just check on it. But it was so big that I knew something was wrong. So I went to see my doctor. And honestly, the whole process of trying to figure out what was going on was extremely frustrating to me because I kept hearing, oh, you're so young. It's probably just something that's going to go away. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we do? So I was like, okay, we're going to get an ultrasound. After the ultrasound, they're like, oh, you have something, but you're so young. Like, we doubt it's cancer, but what do you want to do? Do you want to get a biopsy? I'm like, yeah, let's see. So I get a biopsy, and right after that appointment, I just knew it was cancer. I don't know how I knew, but I just started crying because I just felt it in my bones. I just knew something was wrong, and it wasn't like before. And so then I went back to school. I was at Texas State at the time as well. In my senior year, I was about to walk the stage in December, but I decided to walk in May just because I was going through this process. But anyway, I went back to school and I was substituting at the time, and I got a call that Friday. It was the worst Friday already because I decided to substitute 8th grade, and I never do that. And it was just a lot. It was a lot of energy, but I got home prepping food, and I got the phone call from the doctor who had done my biopsy. And again, I just knew, I'm like, he's calling me on a Friday afternoon. Like, he could have waited Monday to tell me nothing was wrong. And again, he would just send out these big names and things. And I was just like, so is this cancer? I'm like, so what are you saying? Is this cancer? Like, and I couldn't even really process or honestly tell you what he was saying because it was kind of just going in one ear and out the other. And then from there, just kind of the process, really, I had no time to kind of think about it. It was just like, okay, what are we doing? What's next? How do we fix this? How do we solve this? So I was going to school in San Marcos at the time, and I had to travel between there and Dallas, where my oncologist was, back and forth every weekend to kind of figure out the process. So I was leaving school on Thursday, traveling to Dallas for Friday appointments. And I found out I was stage 3 triple negative breast cancer. And I also had the BRCA1 gene. So it ran in my family, and I knew it ran in my family, but it skipped 2 generations. So I was just kind of thinking, skip me too. Like, there's nothing to worry about. So I started the process, and I was coming back and forth from Dallas every Thursday to have treatment. I did about 12 chemo infusions. And then I had to do the double mastectomy, which I chose to do the double mastectomy because it was kind of the smarter option for me. I just didn't want to kind of take my chances. And then I did about 5 or 6 rounds of radiation. And then I came back and had the reconstructive surgery. And then I had to do chemo pills after that for about 5 months, longer than that, because they couldn't get all of the cancer when I had my double mastectomy.
What chemo pills did you do?
I can't remember the name. I wish I could. If you
Okay.
say the name, I could probably.
Okay, Zolota maybe?
Zolota, that's exactly it. Yep. That's exactly it. And I believe I took multiple a day or something like that.
Yeah,
It was,
they're really big horse pills. They're nasty. You take
yes, they are nasty.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was kind of my process. And now while the process, I was continuing my degree because I walked in May just to get out of San Marcos. So it would be easier for me to be in Dallas and closer to my appointments and my doctors. But I had an internship to complete as well. So I had 400 hours to complete while going through radiation and the surgeries and the different things like that. And honestly, like you said, it was just God. I'm like, God, thank you for getting me through such a hard time. I look back, and when it was over, I felt like the process went very quickly, but in it, it felt like years and it felt like so long. And I just appreciate everybody for giving me grace during that time, because I was not myself. My energy was not where it was supposed to be. And I was just physically
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
where I could be. But everybody, from my administrators at the internship, my school, my professors, my family, just gave me so much grace, and it really just got me through the journey. So yeah, I hope I told
So you had genetic testing, right? So
Mhm.
did your mom have it? Your sister, you have sisters? Did anybody else in your family, your brothers or anyone else in your family test for it?
Yes, my mom did, and she has the gene as well. She hasn't done any preventative methods yet. She's a little bit scared to do that, but nobody has had breast cancer recently in my family. And the last person I know was like my great aunt, which is so weird. It skipped so many generations and came to me. So yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I
We're
definitely
gonna talk
feel
about your
that. I
mom
have a
later. We're gonna talk about your mom later. Do you have
I
siblings?
also think that's so crazy that like we were diagnosed a month apart from each other and going to the
Right?
same school. Because mine's
Yeah.
is January 2019 and yours is February 2019.
It
Wow.
was,
And you guys didn't know each other.
no.
Mm-mm. I just
Mm-mm.
saw her on Twitter one day and I was like, what the heck? I was like,
Wow.
not another girl going through this at college with me. Like that was so
So
It
what are
crazy.
the odds?
So crazy. So crazy.
Mhm.
Do you have siblings?
On my dad's side of the family. On my mom's side, I'm her only child.
Okay. And so your bracket's from your mom's side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All righty. All righty. All right, Kayla, you're up.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Kayla Medley. I'm 24 years old. My breast cancer story is actually pretty recent. The way I found out was a lump in my left breast. And just the same way, like it felt like a rock. It didn't feel normal. It was big. It was discolored, like discoloration. And it was just I had really tiny breasts, so it was just protruding, and I just knew something wasn't right. Now for backstory, cancer doesn't run in my family. So it was a shock, but basically I felt this lump and I went to my yearly OBGYN appointment, and I was diagnosed in 2022. So this was in 2021. I presented it to my OB. The same spiel. Oh, you're young. Like, you don't have family history. Like, it's nothing. It's nothing. And then, like, she just did no further testing and just left it at that. What she said was it's probably benign, and just left it as that. And I just left the appointment feeling like uneasy. And I just knew something wasn't right, but I just kind of tried to push it to the back of my head and try to feel reassured, But then fast forward to the next year, August 2022, I went to a different doctor this time. And this doctor, she felt it immediately and was like, you need to go get get screening immediately. So we did. I got the biopsy and I just knew something was wrong by the way the techs were talking to me. They were being overly nice. They were like, how long has this been here for? And I was like, oh, like a year. And they were just being super nice to me. I felt like I was getting special treatment. I felt like they knew something that I didn't know. So that's when I was like, in my heart, I was like, this isn't right. Like this, I know this is cancer. But I still went on with the testing.
Wow.
The day I found out was September 12th of 2022. I was actually at work and what's crazy? I got a text of like the results, and that's how I found out. And then I immediately called the people who did the testing, because I read something, it said invasive ductal carcinoma. I was just like, what is that? I was just like, what is that? So I called, and I'm freaking out, I'm crying, I'm having a panic attack, and over the phone they tell me I have cancer, and it's stage 2 cancer at that. And I was just floored. I had no words. I had a full-blown panic attack. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really difficult for me, especially since I had no family history. So it was difficult for my family, for my mom especially, Yeah. So it was a very like dark, depressing time. And then going through treatment, like the next couple of weeks were just a blur. Like it was just doctor appointment on top of doctor appointment. I honestly didn't really like it. It was annoying, if I'm being honest. I just kind of felt like my life wasn't normal anymore. During this time, I'm preparing to go to physician assistant school. So I'm working as a medical assistant. So I was working at a doctor's office, and it was difficult when patients would come in and they're cancer patients and they're getting, they're there for their cancer treatment, like it was family medicine. So it was very difficult. I was meeting a lot of breast cancer patients, and I feel like in a sense, God was kind of preparing me.
Yeah.
It was crazy because prior to being diagnosed, it was just an influx of breast cancer patients that I was triaging. So I was speaking with them. But anyways, yeah, I did my
Wow.
I had to do, how did it start off? I had to do chemo first. So I started chemo in December of 2022. And then my last chemo session was March of 2023.
So you just finished your chemo, right? Or your treatment, right? A month ago or so?
Yeah, about 2 months ago, actually, I finished chemo. It was terrible. I started with the Red Devil at first. It was terrible. Then after that, I had Taxol. I had a bad reaction to Taxol. I was extremely itchy. Like I didn't get neuropathy. I had itchiness. It was terrible. Like my skin was peeling. I had to take hydroxyzine every day. It was really, really bad. I had a really bad experience during chemo. But yes, I completed chemo in March. So after chemo was finished, it was then time for surgery. So I actually opted to do a bilateral mastectomy. And I actually had surgery on May 3rd. So I'm actually I would say almost about 4 weeks post-op almost.
Wow, you're doing great, girl.
Thank you. So yeah.
Still on drugs.
Yes. So I didn't have to, but I just elected to get it because I'm just like, if I'm going through all this and I'm so young, I just want it to be a one and done type thing.
Why go through it again, right? If you can help it.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So
wow.
I chose to get the mastectomy with reconstruction. I have tissue expanders in because I do want to go size bigger. So I'm getting them inflated every week. But after that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my little thick boobs are bigger than the ones that tried to kill me too. Like I had, I pretty had little tiny boobs, and so that's why I had like my tumor was kind of like a peanut under my nipple. So I think if you look at like relative to the rest of my little boobs, it was like a big thing for like.
Yeah.
Right, probably some of the bigger boobs that wouldn't even see the same amount, but gosh, so do you have siblings?
I do have siblings, actually. I have one sister and a brother.
Did you get genetic testing?
So the thing is, I never actually followed up, so I need to actually ask them to redo a test because I figured I need to, because I do have a second surgery coming up where they're going to place the real implants in. And if I'm going under, they may want to remove more lymph nodes or my ovaries or something like that. I'm not sure. So I need to get my testing.
You should get it just so that you know, and also you can take care of your siblings, you know.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Right.
So I have an appointment tomorrow with the radiologist. I have to do radiation because it is in my lymph nodes. During the surgery, they took out 3 positive lymph nodes in my left axillary. So I do have to do radiation. They told me it's going to be about a month. And then after radiation, I have my final surgery and then I'll be on tamoxifen after.
Wow.
That's the plan.
Okay,
I'm
you're
not done yet.
And you're still in it. Wow.
Yeah. I just feel like every time I go back, it's just like, and then this, and like, and then that, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, like this never ends.
It doesn't, because then you still got to do extra screening every single year. Like I have to do full body MRIs from the brain to the toe, like
Right. Right.
because of my gene mutations.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Who did you ever think that you would ever get breast cancer? Like I didn't, and I was old, but you know what I mean? Like if you think like, you know, it's not even on your radar screen that it's a possibility for you, right? You're like thinking maybe I'll get the flu, right?
Right. And it's crazy because I was so healthy. So I was just so shocked. I would work out every day. I had such a healthy diet. I'm like, what are you talking about, breast cancer?
Right.
I could not believe it.
That's the healthiest I've ever been. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
I was very healthy.
I was like, I'm feeling my best, looking my best right now, God. Like I just
I was skinny, but I definitely was not eating healthy. I was munching maniac, and that's why like I was kind of upset that they didn't tell me that steroids were an option during chemo, because they're optional. Like it's supposed to prevent allergic reactions and things like that. And so like my first time, I gained like 50-60 pounds from chemo, and I'm still trying to work some of that off.
Wow.
I did a lot from chemo too. Yeah.
Like it irritated me, and my doctor was like, no girl, eat whatever you want, because I thought I was gonna have to like be on a special diet because I'm a cancer patient.
Right.
She was like, no, eat whatever you want. I'm going to Cane's and Burger King and Chick-fil-A and all these other things. And like I've always was like the little pencil girl, so I was like, I cannot believe I had to buy a whole new wardrobe, new pants, new shirts, new everything
Right.
had to be new, because I went from small to large.
Wow.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
mm-mm.
I know. Well, the thing
Well,
is,
one thing I do want to talk about is like, you know, just being a young survivor. And I feel like one thing that I really struggled with being a young survivor is like having your peers understand, like your friends. I feel like I lost a lot of friends from like my breast cancer journey. And like, thank God I met Touch, because now I have breast cancer problems. I just text all the 40-plus-year-old women that I know. And I don't ever ask my young people for anything. I'll be like, no.
you have your
So
untouchable posse. You have your untouchable posse, right?
I just wanted to know if that was something that you guys struggled with too.
Definitely.
Yeah. You could go.
Yeah, definitely. I've always had a small friend group, but I've a large amount of associates, and I was kind of like always just doing something. And so when the cancer happened, it really did change me. It changed me a lot because it made me shield, and it changed me physically. So I didn't really enjoy looking at myself or being out in clothes, dressing up, or I was just tired too. So I didn't want to be at the social event. So it put me in my shell, and my close friends, the kind of situation we had and kind of the disagreement that we had, and it came from like them not knowing what to say and them not saying anything at all.
Mhm.
And I would try to get them to understand that I want y'all to treat me as normal. Like if I had the flu, you would call and say, how are you doing? What do you need? But because I have breast cancer and it's so foreign at this age, you don't know what to say. And it was kind of, but I gave them grace as well. Like it was conversations that we had about, you know, you never had a friend at 21 that's been through breast cancer. I understand that you don't know what to say, but we kind of had conversations about what I needed and how they could fulfill the need. It still didn't feel like what I needed at the time, but I also don't know if I knew what I needed at the time going through 21 as a breast cancer patient, like being in that setting. And then it was just kind of hard. Like I couldn't go to different things they went to. And I felt like when I would go, I wouldn't enjoy it the same. Even simple things like being at a birthday dinner, everybody's talking about their next hairstyle, but I'm sitting there with a bald head. And it's like, y'all have like, y'all don't understand how this affects me, but I'm sitting here fighting back tears because I'm thinking about how I haven't had a hairstyle in months and I probably won't be able to for months. And it was those small things where we just had to offer each other grace and talk about and communicate. But it really did affect my friendships though. And I think that if me and my friends weren't as close as we were and weren't able to communicate and say like, hey, this is not working right now, I'm needing it more, I probably wouldn't have any friends right now because I didn't meet any new people during that time because I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital on every Friday. On Saturdays, I'm sleeping because I'm tired. And on Sundays, I'm just trying to get my diet together. I'm trying to eat something, maintain something. And then the week starts over. So it was a little bit different for me. And then again, at the point I was at, I was about to graduate. Most people around me were thinking about like, what am I doing next year after college? Like, where are my internships? Applying for jobs and different things like that. And I was just praying to God that I made it to the next year. I was just praying to God that I got through chemo, like that radiation was complete, that I wouldn't have to go through this again. So even conversations were different. And I feel like now I'm still trying to come out of it. I'm still trying to work on my social skills because now I'm like, I don't really know what to talk about with you all anymore. Like I'm trying to get back.
Especially with COVID too, because
Yeah,
COVID had
COVID
Happened. Get out. Yeah.
it happened right after that, y'all. The year I came into remission. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited to go back into this world and do all these young things again. And then COVID hit. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? So I'm still trying to figure out how to be social again and be my young youthful self, like, and not be so like, I don't know. I feel like it made me a lot more strict with life and a lot more cautious with things like.
I say I'm 46 all the time. I'm like, no, baby, I'm 46. Like,
Because you've seen it all. Well,
just
like y'all don't know.
I think you're saying something else too, Emily, that there's something about how your friends just really can't help you.
Yeah.
And your friends, and they love you, they want to help you. And I reached out, my friends took such good care of me, but I had such a different conversation with other breasties that even now I can talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Like 11 years out later, I still have a different conversation with my breasties than I do with my friends. And I have friends I've known since birth, and I'm old. And so, and I think I love them and I know they love me, but I think it's a different connection that, it's a club that you don't want to be in, but once you're in it, it's this unconditional love that makes it really, really a special thing where you don't really have to talk. You really don't have to describe anything. You don't have to explain anything. You can just say, I feel crap today, or I have chemo brain, or whatever it is. And it's just a different understanding that we cherish, right? We need that, right?
Yeah, I agree. So yeah.
Kayla?
Basically everything you all said. It was extremely difficult. Again, since we're so young, I didn't want to put so much pressure on my friends. I had some friends that were really, really caring, like they would send me flowers, like edible arrangements, like, acts of service. I really enjoyed that because even though they did not know how to comfort me with their words, they kind of sent things to make up for that, if that makes sense. And I did appreciate those gestures. At least they know, like, they care, they just don't know how to be there for me because there's no way they can really imagine what I truly am going through, but I also, it's difficult. It's difficult. Nobody ever talks about like dating with like with cancer, like at this age, that's difficult. Because it's like, do you disclose this or not? Or, it's very difficult. And it was a tough time for me. I felt extremely isolated from my friends. Now, family, on the other hand, I'm so blessed that I have such a great family and support system. But yeah, friends wise, I just felt extremely isolated. I couldn't do things. And it's kind of like I was an afterthought in a sense, like everybody would go out and be like, oh, wait, well, Kayla can't come because, you know, she has chemo or whatever. Like, oh, yeah, Kayla, she can't come because, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dang, like, you know, like, I know I can't come, but
You have to rub it in, right?
you have to rub it in, like,
Mhm.
okay. But I'm just extremely grateful for my family and my mentor. I don't know if you guys know LaToya Johnson. She's a like, I'm
Absolutely.
really, really grateful. You know, really helped me during this time, and I'm still going through, but yeah.
Yeah, LaToya's our other baby Breastie, you know, and I talked to her today, actually, we were texting, but yeah, I mean, even, you know, she's 37. She was 36 when she got diagnosed, but she had 3 babies, you know, so it's just so scary. And she didn't get the best care that was available to her with triple negative breast cancer at her age. So that's why we need this community to help each other talk about this stuff, because you're making me think about all the topics we should be thinking about, Kayla, for another future organization. I think that, you know, we've done talking about dating and stuff, but I think dating under 30 is a whole
It's
conversation
a
we
whole
haven't
new,
tackled yet.
Oh my gosh. I feel like my
Yeah.
first cancer journey, I liked my second cancer journey a whole lot better. I'm like, I would not take back the second cancer journey because it made me really like flip my mindset about a lot of the things that I had. But that
Right.
first cancer journey and that relationship that I was in during that time, I feel like I'm starting to forget some of that stuff. I feel like I need to write it down or record a really, really, really long video because I'm like, I'm forgetting some of these things because there's things you talk about with your doctor when they find out that you have a partner and you have cancer. Like, my doctor was like, you're staying on birth control. Like, she was telling us that like we couldn't have sex like 2 days after chemo and things like that because of like all the toxins that you're peeing out and things like that. Like, and just like the expectation, you're like, I don't want to put any expectations on you, but like at the same time, you're staying around. So like, do I put the expectations on you? And then like after ending a relationship, after all of that, you're like, dang, like when me and my boyfriend broke up, we broke up when I was healthy. Like I'm good and healthy now, and now we're not together anymore. And I was just like, that was a shock to me. And I was thinking like this man was my husband because he came to all my chemos with me, and now like you're just leaving when I'm good, when I don't need all the like assistance and stuff. So
and another thing I wanted to add, I had to get my eggs frozen. I had to do IVF. That was such a traumatizing period. It was so I had to give myself injections. I remember I was out at this party and then I couldn't give myself the injection and my mom got mad. I started crying because I'm just like, I shouldn't even have to be doing this, you know, like
Right. I should be having a party, being able to hang out with my friends.
Yeah, I'm just trying to hang out with my friends, you know, it's the summertime and I got to give myself a shot like every day at the same time, like on the clock. It was such a trauma. I had to go and get transvaginal ultrasounds every day. The surgery was very invasive. Like that was worse than the bilateral mastectomy, if I'm being completely honest. The whole IVF, but I have, on the bright side, I do have eggs and they are frozen. So I do have that for the future. But we also don't talk about like, because my cancer, it's receptive to estrogen or hormones. I forgot exactly. But I had to get a Paragard IUD, which is non-hormonal for my birth control. And I had to do that before I even started my treatment. And it was just a very difficult time. Like the whole reproductive things, being young, it's a very difficult time.
my doctor didn't even talk to me about fertility things.
They didn't talk about fertility, Ari?
She said, you're young, you'll be able to get pregnant again. And then my period came back and I just assumed, I was like, okay, I'm Gucci.
Well, but even just having to think about that at your age, gosh, do I ever want to have a baby? What am I doing? How do I have to think about that right now? You know?
And I've been thinking about freezing my eggs. So I'm grateful to talk about that process. Because now, I don't know, you said it was worse than the
Well, I will say I didn't want to because I just wasn't even, this was after I was just diagnosed. So I was already kind of bummed about the cancer. And then, you know, I wasn't even planning on ever doing this. But if you're actually planning to do it, I think that'll be a whole completely different ball game. But I was just so upset with the cancer and everything. And I was just, this is another thing I got to do. So
yeah. Well, that's a whole nother show we have to think of, Ari, to do a show on fertility.
Yeah.
And Toya on in the comments. Kayla was
Because
just
I'm
talking.
like, my doctors want me to get a total hysterectomy when I'm 34 because I had two aunts die from ovarian cancer in their early 30s, and they wanted to be like a couple years after their diagnosis or whatever. And I'm just like 34. I don't want to start having kids till I'm like 30. So like the fact that y'all want to give me 4 years, I'm trying to be a school mom. I want to be driving a minivan with 6
Right.
kids in there. And I'm like, how am I supposed to squeeze 6 pregnancies into 4 years? It just feels like my life is not mine, you know?
Mhm.
Like I can't plan
Hey,
how I want
sorry,
to
I love
plan.
that. I have that. But so you got to freeze your eggs, which is a whole nother thing altogether, not only emotionally, but financially. It costs a lot of
Yes.
money.
Yeah, those copays, they added up. They charged me for every single transvaginal ultrasound a copay. And I had to I
Oh.
had to go in every day because they had to monitor the eggs. It's a lot. It was a financial burden as well. It's a lot.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's just so crazy. We don't ask to get these things, but we have to pay for all the
Right.
repercussions of all of it. Because those full body MRIs, by the end of the year, they were like, yeah, you owe like $3,000.
Right.
I was texting my doctor. I was like, lady, I told you I can't afford this. Like, why did you make me do all of this? Like, pretty sure that thought I was a little crazy during that time period. But like, it's because sometimes the doctor doesn't think of you as like a whole person. They're just treating your cancer. They're not thinking about, can I afford this? You know, I'm on Medicaid. Don't like.
Right. Or just even the burden on your life. I'm in school, like, it's like, I mean, it's hard enough for someone who's established in their lives and has kids and whatever. But to have, for you guys, there's so many issues to be having to deal with at your age. It's just horrible. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. But you guys, I mean, I think that the good news is that you fought for care. You stood up for yourselves with the doctors. Think about how many women walk away when the doctor says, don't worry, it's nothing, come back in 6 months, and they come back and they're metastatic. And I think that's the message we're trying to convince and educate about, that, put your big girl panties on and tell them they're fired, or tell them, they've got to do better by you, because they're wrong. They're wrong, whether you have cancer or not. They're wrong to dismiss you.
And that's the biggest regret I had, like when I came in 2020, the year prior to being diagnosed, and she just told me it was benign, and I kind of just took that. I wish that I would have didn't wait a whole year. I wish that I would have gotten a second opinion like immediately after, because it would have probably not have been stage 2. It would have been just stage 0 at that time, So
Right. Gosh. So I think I don't know whether what data we have to talk about the numbers of people being affected like you, but it's a lot. And if you think about, breast cancer for Black women under 35, we're getting it at twice the rate of white women. So you guys are not alone. And, I think Ari has now worked really hard to build a community for young Black women to be able to have a place to talk about this, because, and maybe
It's been happening for decades, because
Yeah.
even when I got my treatment and I met my medical oncologist, she was a Black woman, and she connected me with a girl that she treated like 15 years ago that was also 19 and had triple negative breast cancer. And so now I'm friends with her on Facebook, and I just watch her have 2 kids, and she's just living life. And I'm just like, this has been happening for a long time. This isn't just,
it's nothing new. It's nothing new. The numbers are the same, and it's not changing, which is also why we need to get more Black women into research, into clinical trials, because that's the only way we're going to get medications and standards, like even just mammogram standards, that work for Black women, because they didn't work for you guys. They don't work for any of us. And so we have to do more research to get the data we need to support the fact that no, Black women should get, screened a lot earlier. And what's happening now is our doctors are recommending that you get a risk assessment at age 25, but you guys wouldn't even have made it till then.
It's crazy.
Right?
You wouldn't have.
You wouldn't even have made it to then. So it's not, we can't bank on anything, but that's why we have to talk about it and like start to get people to understand what's happening, really, the real happenings in this world, that breast cancer doesn't care. Breast cancer doesn't care how old you are. It
And the
really
craziest thing is after I was diagnosed and I went in to get my first mammogram, they
Right.
were still giving me a hard time to even get the mammogram.
Yeah.
And I was like, my results say I have cancer. So what are you talking about? I'm 22 and can't get a mammogram. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, it's the rules. It's the rules. And then like I had to call my doctor and let them give me a mammogram. I'm like, I have cancer.
I know. What are the rules? What are the rules? There are no rules.
There are no
There are
rules.
no rules. There
There
are
are
no
no-
rules for Black women. There
Yeah.
are no rules for young Black women. You know, it's insane. It's crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really feel like they should lower that age for mammograms. I really do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for Black women, and even lower for risk assessment, because 25 is longer. But that's why, you know, we're starting this our Love of My Girls campaign, because we want women to know at 18 and as Ari is done with our college students, you know, make checking your breasts an act of self-care. You know, think about when you get your nails done, check your breasts. So it becomes something innate. And even because even the guidance is saying, don't check your breath, don't do self-exams. That's crazy. We want you to stand in front of the mirror and look at your boobs, know what they look like, what they feel like, so that as you guys did, you felt something weird, it didn't feel right. And you can defend that. Say, hold on, this wasn't here a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, doctor. We need you to check me out, and to force the conversations, because we're not getting the care that we deserve. Doctors aren't doing the right thing.
And I
You
also
know,
feel
and-
that they should start introducing that in schools, like the self-breast exam,
right.
like for girls, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I was just watching this show on Hulu, and it was called The Parent Test, and it's just like different parenting styles and things like that. And so there was a Black couple on there, and they had everyone's kids get like, it was like a picture of like a naked body of like a girl, and they had labels, and they had to label what each little body part was. And the Black family was the only family that got all their labels wrong.
Wow.
Like they didn't know what the areola was. They didn't
Yeah.
even know what a period was. So I just feel like it's really difficult in Black families to talk about body parts and stuff. Like we don't even say vagina. You know, like we're saying like cookie and
I
my
know.
her and
Yeah, cookie and whatever the words are.
Whatever that name.
Right. But it's so funny, you know, because you know, Belle's like, well, I have a vagina. And my 5-year-old granddaughter, she's all about, you know, labeling the right body parts. Okay, Belle, that's all good. But I mean, you have to be real with it, and you have to, you know, we have to start young enough to know, because even, you know, I don't have a genetic mutation, but my mom's aunt, my mom, me, so Haley and Amanda are at risk, even though I don't have a genetic mutation. And we're right now fighting with the insurance company to cover so Haley can get a mammogram at 30, which is crazy because of our history. And you know, we'll finally get one from my doc. We'll give it to her. But it's like, why should we have to struggle with that?
Right.
And you know, frankly, your siblings should be able to get care and get treatment about how to you know, guard for this and protect themselves. Like, you know, like at least you guys kind of fought the fight. But think about how many of you that feel something but don't really do anything about it. You know, you know, so we're blessed to have caught it. So think about it. So how should we help young women? Like, how can we help? I mean, you guys are role models now. You are super heroes now in this space. And, you know, I'm putting all of y'all to work. Ari will too, because we need your voice to talk about this, right? Ari will tell you. I'm serious. But I think we need to figure out how we can do
because
more.
there's no representation for us. Ricky can tell you, like, we go to all these
Yeah.
conventions and things, and I'm always just standing there like, and then everyone's like, oh, what's she doing here? Like, she's
I know. And
she's
people
in the room.
you're a survivor?
And
Like,
then,
that's not true. They don't believe her.
Yeah.
yeah, like when I went on a breast cancer walk in California, like people were literally looking at me like, why is this girl walking with the survivor group? And I'm like, baby, I'm here. Like, you know, like it is not
Right.
When I would go to appointments with my mom, they thought she was a patient and not
Oh
me.
yeah, for
So I
sure.
just started going without my wig because I'm like, no, I'm the patient.
Right.
I'm the patient.
I know, I hear you, but yeah, we have to though, we have to figure out how to make these conversations happen and even like, so when you got sick, how did your grandmothers talk about this with you?
Well, unfortunately, my grandmothers weren't. That's another thing. I didn't tell a lot of my family when I was diagnosed. I kind of kept it very private at first.
Why?
Not anymore.
Why?
I do keep it
Why?
private.
Why?
I kept it private because I just didn't want to hear a lot of opinions, if that makes sense. I just didn't want to hear a lot of noise. I just kind of wanted to focus on what my doctors were telling me, fellow breasties, what they know from their experience, and my mother's opinion. And that's all I really cared about at that point. Because I felt that if it was a lot of noise or if like people on social media knew, it would just cause too much chaos. That's just me personally. That's how I felt. So I preferred it to keep it private, like at first. Of course, now people know. But when I first was diagnosed, like those first 3 months, it was just like strictly a small, tight-knit group of people that knew.
Got it.
Yeah. Would I do it differently? That's a good question. I don't think I would.
You think it's private?
I think I would keep it private again. If
Yeah.
I
Did you ever end up talking to your grandparents or your grandmothers about it?
no.
No, you didn't even.
I just didn't want to stress them out, if that makes sense. I didn't want to stress them out. And my grandmother, she actually recently passed from stage 4 cancer. It was my step grandmother though, not by blood, but she found out too late, you know? So I feel like having these conversations are important, you know, with Black women having preventative care, you know, just at least so they're not scared. I think it just goes back, you know, into time, like from like the syphilis, you know, the Tuskegee.
Yeah.
It just goes back like where they're honestly, I feel that Black people are scared. They're scared of going to doctors. They're scared of because they don't trust the healthcare system. And honestly, I don't blame them because when I was first diagnosed, somebody just shushed me away. So it kind of brought what's the word? Not fear, but it just made me wary of the healthcare system. So I don't blame them, but I feel that we should be like voices to make it known that they can help us, but you have to always advocate for yourself. That's how I feel.
You feel like you can trust the system now that you sort of been through the whole treatment thing?
Not entirely, if I'm being completely honest. Not entirely.
So let's unpack that. So what bothers you about it?
What really bothers me about it is how the statistics are all based on white counterparts. It's not like when the doctors would bring up these medicines and statistics, it's not based off of people that look like me. It's based on a whole different race. And I don't think that's fair, you know? I don't think that's fair. You can't base one statistic and then tell me that it won't relate to me, you know? So that's not the reason why.
We don't have the data for Black women, you know? And I feel like, you know, doctors aren't necessarily doing the right thing by us, but that's why I say, you know, we have to demand what I call the golden rule, standard of care. And that's what they taught you when you were 2, treat others as you want to be treated. And so, you know, you have to challenge your doctor and say, okay, is this how you would treat your daughter or your niece or your auntie or your grandma when you with cancer? And demand them, you know, to think about how they would react if they were in the situation, right? So, and
Did you speak with your grandmother?
Yeah.
No, because my mother's grandmother is deceased, and then my dad's mom, we don't talk as often, so I didn't really speak to them, but I did tell everyone right away. I told everyone right away because I needed the support. I need them to pray for me, and I didn't know anyone around me with breast cancer, so it was also like, you know, I just needed support and resources, so yeah, I told everyone.
I felt pretty private about my first one too. Like I didn't post my GoFundMe or told like the world until I feel like I was coming to like almost the end of it. But the second time I was like, back.
Right.
Here's my GoFundMe. I need the GoFunds.
Yeah, I think the first time I felt like so inclined to tell people because I didn't know anybody. So I was like, maybe other people don't know anybody. Like, let me tell my story so that when people, because I would get online, I would search like breast cancer survivors or like chemo treatments, just trying to see like what was going on. It'll be everybody so much older than me, like that didn't look like me. And I'm like, well, maybe I need to be the one on the hashtag that looks like the young girl trying to find somebody else going through this journey.
Well, I'm glad
You
you did.
were, and
Ari, right?
Huh?
That's how you met Ari, right?
Yes. And
she did. That's what I was gonna say. You were. I know we haven't talked much and stuff, but I definitely fangirl off of seeing your stuff on Twitter, like, you know, your video going viral and you like even wearing your hair out. Cause I feel like that was like, I never wore my bald head out. Like, and I feel like that was something that I should have done more,
Mhm.
you know,
So
like I was just way too insecure about it. But I always remember looking at you and I was like, man, she wears it so good. I'm just like,
I didn't feel like that, but I appreciate it. It was kind of one of those fake it till you make it. I was like, girl, my hair's bald, I'm gonna rock it, gonna love it. Just gonna work with it.
I couldn't wear a wig. I was like itching, like this is
It
not
was hot.
there. I was so uncomfortable. I just wore hats because it was winter time, but I could never, I just rocked my bald head. I didn't care. But I'm old. I was older than you. I wasn't as, I wasn't as worried about, the image I had to portray. And
oh, I did not want to be in class and you in the class with 500 students and someone's just staring at the back of my head. Like I was just like, even when they told me to cut my hair because it would last longer, I cut it short, but it was like falling out. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if a chunk falls out in class right next to somebody? Like, oh
that
my
was
gosh.
really gross though, that when those glops just come out, like you touch your hair and it's like, it's in your hand. It's horrible, right?
That was the
You don't have
most
to shave anymore though.
Yeah. When my hair was falling out and my mom had to shave my hair, I cried. Like I
Oh
cried.
my gosh, that was one of the hardest days ever. I felt like I was going to a funeral for my hair. I was like, oh my god.
And I also, because Black women, we tie a lot of our, I don't want to, I'm speaking with me.
Yeah.
Words to our hair and things like that. So just losing that, I felt like I was losing part of my identity, and it was very difficult for me.
Yeah, well,
real,
I think about all the time we spend on our hair, right?
Yeah.
It's a your personality or style. Like when you switch it up and then you couldn't switch it up.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys, do you think, so we have this support group. We have 2 support groups that we do on Zoom. One is called Touch Talk, and it's this Saturday at 11 o'clock for everybody on Zoom. And then we have a special, another one on the first Tuesday of the month for TNBC Talk for Black Women with TNBC. Do you think we should start a support group for young women? I mean, the women in our group, like probably Latoya at 37 is probably our youngest breastie in that group. But do you think, would you guys want to have a support group for young women?
I think we should.
I always tried looking for one and there just wasn't one.
Oh, and I think it should extend to like 35 or so, because even that's young, and even me now being 26, like I want to talk to people 35 to see like how is their process of having children, or how is their process at that age group, like because we have so much more to go. Like it's not, the journey isn't.
Well, you can always come into the older group, like you can always come in, and you should, because I think it would be good for them to see what you're dealing with, these women who are, we have a lot of late 30s, 40-year-olds, Deltra's 37. She's got 5 babies. Latoya's got 3 babies at 37. But I mean, we can definitely start a support group for you guys. I think we have enough people. And if anyone in the chat, in the comments wants to, talk about it, email me at ricky@touchbbca.org and we will try to formulate one. I mean, I think even when I was sick, I went to all these support groups, and for me, I was in my 50s, but still I was surrounded by old white women, and then they had no understanding of triple negative at all, and they just had nothing in common with these women. So I think just finding a place where you can find your tribe, and find your sort of breasty love with people who have similar experiences could be helpful. So we can definitely do that, Ari. Let's talk about how we do that, and bring them these conversations so you guys can have more women to share, with, and also share your stories. You guys are all heroes. Share your testimony. That's how we learn and help each other, and it's about breasty love.
Always.
Yeah.
What would you say, Ari? Old age?
No, I said always.
Always. Yeah, always. I mean, I'm the older person here. Well, so
I don't know, Ricky, you look pretty young. I don't even think they know how old you are.
I was gonna say.
I know. Let's not talk about how old I am. I decided I'm not having any more birthdays after this month. Ari, I'm done.
Oh,
What? I think you should be proud. I be bragging about you in my office and stuff. I be showing pictures. I be, look at my boss. Look at my boss. Like that's gonna be me.
I love you. I love you so much for that. But let's work on that. We're going to work on a support group and for young women, and you guys have to help us put that together. Okay.
yes, I would love to be a part of that. It's right up my alley.
I was going to give you a job, right? Here we go. Right.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I
no.
want you two to connect even after this show. So maybe I'll put us in like a group chat and text and stuff because you know our community is small. So I would love for us to.
Yes.
Breasty love. Have some breasty love. We'll work on getting
Then we'll
everybody.
fly Kayla to come out to Texas and come see
Please,
us.
everybody's out there. I'm in Maryland.
I know you're in my neck of the woods. You got to come to my beach. Okay.
I do. I'm in Waldorf, so I have to make my way over there.
Yeah, we'll get you. I'll get you over here. We'll get you Latoya over here too. So I'll get you here. So we'll do some stuff. You know, you got to come to Ubiquitous. We're doing the Ubiquitous hair show in DC in
Oh, wow.
July. And you know, you can come do that with us. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
No,
so,
she's coming.
I'm
right.
going.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you. I don't know what happened to Dr. Mo, but I'm sure she's probably saving a life. That's what she does. That's her day job. Thank God for her. Right. So,
Absolutely.
yep. So we hope that today, this is her line, is relatable, reliable, and real. We try to do this every week on blackdoctor.org. We thank Amgen for giving us this platform and blackdoctor.org for giving us this opportunity. And we're so glad that you guys came on today. And
Yes. Thank y'all so much.
yeah, thank you so
For
much.
having us.
Thanks for loving on each other and loving on Ari, and we'll work on support group real soon. Real soon. And next week we're going to have we're going to talk about palliative care with Dr. Kersine. She's phenomenal, and you know, she believes you should have palliative care even if you have stage 1 cancer. You know, it's not about, you know, people confuse palliative care with hospice. It's not. It's about living your best life and dealing with all the symptoms we're dealing with. So
Mhm.
next week. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Breasty love.
Bestie love.
Bless. Thank you. Love you, Art. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.